Welcome to Aston Means Business, a podcast from Aston Business School. My name's Steve Dyson, and I'm a journalist who's interviewing some of the UK's top business academics here at Aston. This is the first episode in what's now the fourth series of this podcast, and you can listen to the earlier episodes by simply Googling Aston Means Business. Today's episode is all about new research here at Aston that's revealed how important it is for SME companies to properly embrace language capabilities to become more successful at exporting. We'll be exploring this theme with the boss of a small company later, but first I want to talk to Dr. Geoff Parkes, a senior lecturer here at Aston Business School's Marketing and Strategy Group. Hello to you, Geoff.
Hello, Steve. Thanks for having me.
No problems, Geoff. Geoff, we're here to talk about the importance of languages for companies seeking to export, a subject on which Aston's published a major research study this month. Tell us more about those findings.
Well, in short, Steve, our research reveals how language capabilities are a key driver for UK export success. We funded this research with the Association of Translation Companies, and really we illustrate how companies embracing language capabilities are 30% more successful in exporting than those who don't. We actually started this project predates even Brexit, and we focused at the outset on the need for UK industry to be more proactive internationally, which is part of the poor productivity story has beset UK companies for decades. We conducted pilot studies in 2015, 2016, and we realized very quickly that the use of foreign language capability could really form a key component, particularly for small firms as they try to grow their international sales activity.
I get the picture, and it sounds great, 30% more successful. I mean, speaking the language of people you're selling to essentially could help you seal the deal, and perhaps more deals in future. But, and forgive me for pushing here, Geoff, isn't this all a bit obvious? If you speak the lingo, you'll do better.
Well, it's obvious in that sense, Steve, but it's never actually been proven before, and that's really the value of our research. And Keita Tibrawal, who's the Aston doctoral researcher involved, has produced a quantitative research study of 415 UK firms across lots of different sectors, examining their organisational level capability for language and its drivers through statistical analysis and modelling. So we carried out this in-depth research, which took over 5 years to complete, and the results indicated that firms had 30% more success at exporting by making proper, meaningful investments in real language capabilities. Previous academic research on UK companies had already shown a strong link between exporting and growth, and that a key way for SMEs to generate growth is through exporting products and services to international markets. But this Aston's latest research really provides the first comprehensive countrywide quantitative research study investigating exactly how language capabilities at an organizational level can facilitate the internationalization of UK SMEs. I mean, what we did, Steve, we identified 5 key drivers of language capacity within small companies. One was linguistic competency, which is all about language capabilities and linguistic competencies in individuals. One was about willingness to invest in this kind of capability. One was about training, so encouraging and facilitating staff. One was through technological awareness and using facilities, again, provided by translation companies. And one was cultural intelligence, which was all about the individual's capability to adapt to new cultural contexts. And these drivers each impact language capacity, which is all about the firm's motivation and preparedness towards developing language-related capabilities, as well, of course, as the utilization of language capabilities themselves within the organization.
Now, all that detail does make more sense now. I mean, you're talking about real, in-depth language capabilities, aren't you, Geoff? You're not just talking about having a phrase book.
No, Steve, absolutely. It's certainly not just about having a phrase book. It's about employing skilled linguists, people who understand the culture and nuances of the markets that small, medium-sized enterprises are seeking to export to. By taking the time, the effort, and resources to do this properly, we've shown SMEs will be more successful at exporting. We also measured the actual impact of the model using 6 separate outputs. So we looked at a concept called export orientation, which is all about the firm's ability to generate, respond, and disseminate export intelligence information to enhance exports. We looked at increased networking capability, which was all about the utilization of people and professional connections, and that was assisted by language capability. We also looked at the value of a concept called co-creation and developing products with international markets, again helped by language. And of course, the overall impact of language capacity on sales, profits, and growth. And the research points that this will markedly increase export success by nearly a third.
And apart from the obvious result of businesses needing to take languages more seriously, Geoff, what else do you hope that Aston's research will achieve?
Well, Steve, I noticed that the Trade Minister recently bemoaned the fact that only 1 in 10 UK firms engage in any export activity. And our research certainly confirms UK firms that use language capability to improve competitiveness internationally will improve our position as an overall economy, with, of course, the knock-on effects on economic growth. And our research will also give more confidence to the translation industry and companies generally to increase recruitment of employees with language skills.
Okay, well, let's see what exporting companies themselves feel about this, Geoff. I've arranged to speak to Rob Mannion. He's the founder and chief executive of B2B Store, formerly known as RNF Digital, based in Leamington Spa, Warwickshire. Hello to you, Rob.
Hi, Steve.
Rob, when did you launch B2B Store and what exactly does it do?
The company was actually founded in 2009, but we chose to create B2B Store as a product in its own right approximately 3 years ago. It is essentially an e-commerce platform. It's designed specifically for the B2B markets, and we actually formally launched it in March 2020. B2B Store essentially enables our customers to sell digitally through web or through app. They can be up and running very, very quickly and sell into markets anywhere in the world.
To help listeners build a quick picture of B2B Store, how many people do you now employ and what's the company's average turnover?
Well, in terms of turnover, we've been pivoting to a new model over the last 2 or 3 years. We used to turn over towards £1 million a year, but we've been turning over less in the last 3 years, but we've been funded in part through private investment to enable us to build the B2B Store platform. We've got 15 staff working for us at the moment.
What's your main customer base, Rob, and where are you expanding?
We've got a lot of traction in the UK wholesaler market, specifically in the food and beverage space, but we're increasingly working in different wholesaler markets such as electrical, plumbing and building markets, and we're now starting to increasingly look abroad for further customers.
And in terms of looking abroad, how seriously has B2B Store taken its foreign language skills as part of that future strategy?
Well, it's an integral part. Whilst we are currently formally focused on the UK, we have very big plans for the future. And of course, opening up our services to the international markets is a very big play for us.
And what's that investment involved? When we say taking foreign language skills seriously, what does that mean? What do you have to do to take them seriously?
Well, we were very fortunate back in 2020 where we had actually applied for some Innovate UK funding. And part of the criteria for us to secure that funding was that we would use it to build a highly scalable platform that would enable us to export our services abroad. So part of the funding has enabled us to invest in the platform. And it was essentially, it's a 2-part exercise. The first part was to ensure that our platform was able to accept foreign languages. And then the second part was to actually implement the foreign languages after that.
And how much do you think your investment and use of language capabilities in the business is contributing to your company's export success?
Our first foreign client is actually based in Mexico City. He actually approached me approximately 3 years ago as he wanted to build out an e-commerce platform to support 3,000 mom and pop shops. He's actually a wholesaler in Mexico City. And his initial view was, or his initial strategy was to actually have a platform that was in English. But he very quickly formed the view that due to the nature, the profile and the demographic of the end user, a typical convenience store owner or worker in Mexico was unlikely to speak fluent English necessarily. So in conjunction with our Innovate funding, and now that the service had become internationalized, if you like, we actually partnered with another UK translation agency called Contact Translations, also based in Leamington Spa, who have a very professional approach in so much as they are not using some automated translation software. They will identify. In fact, they already have numerous translation linguists in the local markets that for the translation they're trying to create. So very, very quickly back in January 2021, we partnered with Comtech, who we'd known on a personal level for many years. And literally within 2 weeks, we had a full Mexican-Spanish translation of our ordering apps available, and also of the administrative console that the wholesaler would need to use as well. And then following that, following some PR that we did on that, our existing UK customers realized that we could actually create a foreign installation of their e-commerce environments in different countries around the world. In summary, with a view to essentially sell in the local language that they're trying to sell into. So it's been a knock-on effect, and we now have multiple instances of our service throughout Europe, in Spain or in Spanish, Polish, German, etc., to help UK exporters sell more effectively in foreign markets.
And it was quite interesting to hear you talk then, Rob, about the fact that you're not using some kind of Google Translate system. You're not using some kind of automated translator. You're actually investing in real people, language skills. And I guess that gets the nuance of the language, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think in particular in a business-to-business environment, we must have a perfect translation. We can't afford, coupled with the fact we may not even know if it's not perfect, if it's going through an automated system, we need to have that assurance that the translation is absolutely perfect and even has all of the nuances associated to that location that we're selling into.
And I know it's early days, but you've got already multiple instances of where this is working. How do you see this growing the company?
Well, I think it's a crucial aspect to a crucial ingredient in terms of our whether we're successful or not. By having, for instance, that model where we have one UK customer is now selling into multiple geographies, that clearly, from our perspective, makes that customer very, very valuable indeed, notwithstanding the fact it's making them more effective in parallel. And each time we build and implement a new language, it means we have the potential to actually sell our product into businesses who operate in that area as well.
Finally, Rob, for other companies listening who might be wanting to expand abroad, what would your advice be to them about foreign languages?
It's not as hard as it might sound. If you partner with the right translation partner, as we strongly feel we have, that de-risks the situation heavily. I think pick your markets carefully. Of course, if you're choosing to operate in a foreign market, you do need to consider how you're going to market your services to that market as well. But we've also discovered a new way of starting to scale that capability by partnering with UK businesses, building up our multilingual capability through them. And then going forward in future years, we're looking forward to selling directly into those markets to foreign businesses as well.
Rob Mannion, the founder and chief executive of B2B Store, thanks for joining us, and best wishes to you and your company as your international expansion continues.
Thanks very much, Steve.
Hello again, Geoff. Are you still with me?
Yes, I'm still here, Steve.
First of all, Geoff, what's your view on Rob Mannion's experience with B2B Store and languages?
Steve, yeah, it's a great example of a firm using language capability to open up substantial growth opportunities. Remember, growth is very often quite difficult to come by. Often needs investment in new products or taking on entrenched competitors. But here we've a simple example of investment in foreign languages, which is giving a firm capability to open up new growth opportunities. Rob's even becoming more valuable to his existing customers. And as in all cases, he's found in Comtech, the right translation partner to work with.
The new research that you've brought out this month is valuable, as we can see from Rob's example how crucial languages are for export success. For businesses out there listening to this podcast, Geoff, if they want to get involved in exports, but they know they've got to take languages more seriously, what are the first steps they should take to increase those capabilities?
So I think, Steve, to take a more strategic approach to internationalization, think carefully about the markets to enter. I'm a great believer in identifying where is the lowest fruit to pick in these kind of situations. And some markets will be easier than others. And think about how to enter the market. It looks like Rob's using exports with distribution partners, but you can also use franchising. And the reality of Brexit means for some firms, actual offices overseas has become a sensible strategy. And for all these strategic directions, engaging with a translation partner who can help you with professional presentation, whether it's documentation, websites, contracts, job specs, whatever it is. Rob made the point about ensuring the presentation of foreign languages were accurate translations. You want to look the part and that you're serious.
Yes, I hear all that, Geoff. That's really sensible advice. And what's next for Aston in this field?
Well, this project started 5 years ago, and since then we've won more funding, part of which has been the development of a diagnostic tool called Talk Global, which allows companies to measure their own individual readiness for international export expansion, including language capability, and our other key drivers that we discovered in our research. And this will be available directly from our Aston Centre for Growth web pages. And with the Association of Translation Companies, we're also keen to ensure our research has impact. So we plan to offer more companies help on their international marketing plans.
Dr. Geoff Parkes, a senior lecturer here at Aston Business School's Marketing and Strategy Group. Many thanks for joining Aston Means Business today.
Thanks, Steve. Bye from me.
Aston Means Business is an original podcast series for Aston University. Remember, if you enjoyed today's episode, you can find earlier episodes by simply Googling Aston Means Business. We've also got a podcast series called Society Matters, which interviews top academics at Aston's School of Social Sciences and Humanities about current issues and concepts which shape our world and the way that people live. You can find those episodes simply by Googling Society Matters Aston. And if you're interested in all things business, economics and politics, why not check out what Aston University has to offer at aston.ac.uk/courses. Meanwhile, we'll be back soon with more interviews with some of the UK's top business academics here at Aston. Aston Means Business. Thanks for listening.